Hey, welcome to Engineer Your Body. In this video, I'm going to talk about the formulas you need to apply to work fitness into your life and get in great shape while not really having to change your lifestyle too much. And you can work it into a lifestyle that you can maintain for the rest of your life and still have fun and do the normal things you're doing right now. If you haven't watched my intro video, go watch that now. It explains why my channel exists. There's a link in the description. And after watching that, you should know if this video is going to be right for you or not. And quick summary, I work for NASA and I'm an engineer, and I'm also a single dad, and I was able to change my body. Here's my before picture. And then here's a couple after pictures.
And when I feel like this, I'm immortal. When I feel like this, I'm immortal. When I feel like this, I'm immortal. When I feel like this, I'm immortal.
And I'm still not done. I still have a couple years to make even more progress. But I realized in the research that I've done and the books that I've read and the podcasts I've listened to and the exercises I've been doing is it's basically a bunch of formulas that you can apply, and if you just follow those formulas, then you can reach your fitness goals. And that's what my channel is all about, is summarizing everything and concisely as possible for the folks that don't want to go out and do all the research and read all the books that I've read. A lot of this content I got was from Mike Mathews, who writes great books on fitness, great podcasts. Muscle for Life is his podcast. And like I said before, if you want to get deeper knowledge, you should be reading his content. And my videos are just a quick summary of those. Now, this is his main book, Bigger, Leaner, Stronger. So I would recommend reading this, buying this, and then you don't have to watch any more of my videos. But I found that there's a lot of people that prefer to just have the information given to them, the most important information. So this video is basically the most important things that you need to do that will have you looking better than the average person. So let's start with the most important thing, which is diet. Now don't get scared of that word. I know it's a 4-letter word, but don't get scared of that because it's not what you think. I do flexible dieting, which means I generally eat whatever I want as far as the variety of foods, and I just count my calories and macros. Macros are protein, carbs, and fat. And honestly, I mostly just track protein, and that's what I'm gonna, tell you to do if you're just want to get into shape without having to, stress about every little thing you're eating. So, calories and protein is what you should be tracking. Now, the most important thing you're probably going to need to know is 3,500 calories equals a pound of body weight. So if I ate 35 calories worth of food today and I didn't burn any calories energy-wise, I would gain a pound. Likewise, if I burned 3,500 calories, I would lose a pound. So that's probably the most important thing you need to know. And so tracking your food just allows you to adjust your body weight how you want. What really matters is the calories in and the calories out. And calories in is the food you're eating, and calories out is the calories you're burning, the energy you're using. Now everyone has a basic metabolic rate, a BMR, and that's essentially how many calories your body burns just to keep you alive. So if you laid in your bed for 24 hours straight, your body would still burn a certain amount of calories just to keep you alive, having your heart beat and your breathing and everything like that. So you can just Google what your BMR is. There's tons of calculators out there. Generally speaking, if you're like a 5'10" male and you're 190, your BMR is going to be about 1,800, just as an example. So if you did nothing, you would burn 1,800 calories a day. All right, so let me start with the people that just want to lose weight. They don't care how much of it is muscle or fat. So in this case, you want to just eat at least what your BMR is. And if you can get away with that, that's all you need to eat, assuming you're not running marathons and doing a bunch of other exercises, right? If you're just going to work, going shopping, doing your day-to-day activities, and you just want to lose as much weight as possible, again, you're gonna lose muscle. And I wouldn't recommend this path, but I'm just giving you the information. You would just basically eat at your BMR. And if you're starving, eat more, eat as much as makes you comfortable. But make sure it's less than the calories you're burning. Okay, that's the key. And if you want to determine how much calories you burn, there's 2 different kind of ways to do it. I use a Fitbit, you use any activity tracker, and it's not gonna be perfect, for sure. But what you do is, the best way to calibrate it is, wear it, hopefully it's a normal 2 weeks, you're not like on vacation, or it's not some special thing where you went on a hiking trip with friends or something where you burn more than usual. Over a 2 week span of your normal life, it'll tell you how many calories you're burning each day. And for each day, you need to eat that many calories. So if it said I burned 2,500 calories today, I'm gonna eat 2,500 calories. And tracking your food can be very difficult. It takes time up front, but then once you do it for a couple months, it becomes more natural and easier and less burdensome. I use a app called Lose It, and it's free. If you wanted to track or count macros and sync to your Fitbit and sync to your smart scale like mine does, then you can pay a membership fee. But there's other, MyFitnessPal and other things like that. So obviously you can look at the back of labels. You may need to weigh your food. You have to pay attention to the servings. If you cook your food and you're weighing it and portioning it out, and whatever you do, if you go to restaurants, the Lose It app does have verified calories for certain restaurants and meals. They're on the menu, but there are a lot of hidden calories with oils and butter and how they cook it and sides and portions and all that stuff. So the point is you need to calibrate this, and it might take a little bit of time, but it's totally worth it. And it's the biggest knob is calories. And I don't want to say the word diet. The biggest knobs is just your calories and your protein. Just learn how to track that, and it'll make all the difference in the world. You won't be confused as if why you're gaining weight or are you gaining weight, or you know what I mean? You'll know exactly how to tweak things. At this point in my life, I could lose, if I want to lose 12 pounds, I know I could do that in 12 weeks. I mean, I could do it faster if I wanted to, potentially lose some more muscle, but I know at any point in my life I could get down to as thin as I want to be. And also I can bulk up. And so I don't stress about if I go on vacation for 2 weeks and I'm gonna eat more than I normally do, because I know in a couple weeks I know exactly how to get it back to any weight that I want, any body fat percentage that I want. And that only comes with tracking food. You can't do it with just exercise. So the way to calibrate is have a tracker, see how many calories you eat and or how many calories you burn, and try to eat that many calories each day. And what's gonna happen is, and it would also be important to, for those 2 weeks, eat consistently, right? Don't go to like 10 different restaurants on 10 different days, because you're not, if something's wrong, you're not gonna know. Maybe one restaurant was way off, or you're not gonna know if your exercise is off, your food's off, or what. So try to be somewhat consistent. Like I said, an average 2 weeks in your life. You wanna have your tracker and log all your food, okay? So after those 2 weeks, you're gonna weigh yourself, and you need to be weighing yourself consistently. The best time is first thing in the morning. If you go to the bathroom in the morning, after you go to the bathroom, before you eat breakfast, that's when you should be weighing yourself. That's how I've weighed myself for the last 2 or 3 years. I'll fluctuate 3 or 4 pounds a day, depending on how much I eat and drink. So do it first thing in the morning. Don't stress about, if you're doing it every single day, don't stress until the 14th day. This is your calibration phase. Do 2 weeks, your 14th day, see how much you weigh, okay? If you are exactly the same, then you've nailed it. You have the right amount of calories burned, and you're eating the equal amount. And so from there, you can just tweak. Do you want to just keep maintaining, or do you want to lose weight? And if you want to lose weight, you would cut your calories by 20% a day. And if you want to gain weight, you would increase by 10% a day. And I'll go over that in a second. It's called cutting or bulking. Now, if you gained, let's say you gained 2 pounds, okay? Since 1 pound is 3,500 calories, that means you've ate 7,000 more calories than you burned over that 2-week span. So you can just divide that out, right? It comes out to be 500 calories a day. So you were eating 500 more calories than you should have each day. So now you can just go and track that. You can do the same thing, and each day, whatever you're doing, whatever you're eating, eat 500 less calories. And if you did that every single day for 2 weeks, you would have the same body weight. So that's one way to get started, is just track it. Don't even change what you're eating. Just track what you're eating, track your calories, and then you could just adjust how much you're eating to try and hit the same amount of calories you're burning. That would be my way to start. And then from there you can adjust. If you don't want to invest in a fitness tracker, there's other formulas you can look up. You basically take your BMR that we talked about and you multiply it by an activity factor. So if you have like a moderate activity, you multiply it by 1.3. So if your BMR was 2,000, then you're going to be burning 2,600 calories when you include your exercise. And if you notice, moderate exercise only increases your calories like 30%, right? So if you're burning 2,000 calories just being alive, doing your normal, and then that would probably include more like moving around, going shopping, whatever. But if your normal day is like 2,000 calories and exercise day is like 2,300 to 2,600 calories, it's not a lot. I mean, the food is way more powerful than the exercise. A side of fries somewhere is like 400 calories. So that's your entire workout that day probably. So you could say, all right, I'm gonna bust my ass for 40 minutes and run and go to the gym and spend time doing that, or just not eat a small side of fries. It's equivalent. It's equivalent as far as body weight goes. Yeah, the workout gives you other benefits. So just keep that in mind, that it's much more powerful to adjust your diet than to adjust your exercise when you're talking about body weight. All right, so I touched a little bit on bulking and cutting. Okay, so cutting is when you're eating less calories than you're burning. That's what we call cutting. You're cutting the fat off your body, basically, right? You're cutting calories. And so if you want to do a nice slow cut where you're maintaining the most muscle possible, you're gonna want to be in about a 20% deficit. So if you burned, let's say 3,000 calories that day, 20% of that is 600. So you would only eat 2,400 calories that day, and now you're in a deficit of 600. And if you do the math from earlier, that means in about 6 days, which would be 3,600 calories, in about 6 days you're gonna lose a pound. And that's gonna be mostly fat. And you can just do that over, usually cutting is like 2 to 4 months, depending on how much fat you started with and what your ultimate goal is for your low-end body fat percentage. I keep mine between 10% body fat. Right now I'm probably like 11 or 12 in this video. I try to keep myself between 10 and 15, 18%. 18 is probably the high end. And in that case, you can still see like upper abs. You don't have a beer belly or anything like that. So with a t-shirt on, you're still gonna look great walking around. And if you get down to 10% body fat, you're gonna have a six-pack, even if you didn't do any ab work, which I'll touch on in a little bit. So that's cutting, and again, that's supplemented with the weight training I'm gonna talk about. Because if you're not doing the weight training, you're likely gonna lose muscle even on a slow cut, all right? Your body's just not gonna prioritize muscle. It wants to burn the muscle before it burns the fat, because the fat is is your survival, your last bit of survival if you have no food. So your body will attack the muscle before it attacks some fat, the stubborn fat in your body. So, so just keep that in mind. For bulking, you're gonna only want to have like a 10% surplus, and this is called lean bulking, right? So like same example, you're burning 3,000 calories a day. You're gonna want to eat 3,300 calories. That'd be a 10% surplus, and you want to make sure you do that every day. If half the time you're gonna cut, half the time you're bulking, your body's gonna get confused. Are we trying to store fat? Are we trying to burn muscle? Like, you're trying to burn fat? Well, it's not gonna shift into muscle building mode if you're only doing it for a couple days and then you're in a calorie deficit. Your body takes a little bit of time to get into gear and start consistently building muscle. So you got to stay in that deficit. If you're not sure on your calories on when you're bulking, because you went to like a restaurant, although that means you're probably likely on the high side, but maybe you went exercising without a Fitbit, you went hiking and you're not quite sure, err on the side of, a little bit more calories. That way your body stays in a surplus, and at the end, if you put on more weight than you wanted to, you know how to cut, so it's not a big deal. This is why you won't have to stress about day-to-day stuff. And of course, maintenance means you're going to eat the same amount of calories. And I talked about that calibration period. Once you're doing this for several months, you're going to be pretty good at knowing what your maintenance calories are. And in fact, some people after years don't even need a track, because intuitively they know how hungry they feel when they're at maintenance, and they can just tell from the scale or how they look in the mirror if they're putting on weight or losing weight. So eventually you could get to a point where you're just kind of eating intuitively. And maybe every once in a while you want to check in and log your food and make sure you're not way off. But I myself, when I get deep into a bulk, I'm usually not tracking very closely. I always track every single day when I'm cutting. I always track if I'm trying to maintain, but so far I'm either always cutting or always bulking. And I will track my food when I get out of a cut and I'm going into bulking, because I don't want to put on fat right away. Your body really wants to store fat right at that time. So I'll kind of I'll jump to 10% bulk, but I'll track it very closely. And then when I get to a point where I basically have to force myself to eat to be able to put on weight. And so at that point, I'm almost don't need a track, because I'm just forcing myself to eat, and there's almost not enough food I can eat. So sometimes I actually have to track to make sure I've eaten enough food at the end of my bulk. So these are just guidelines to get you started. And like I said, this is supposed to be maintaining for the rest of your life. So I have no problem tracking my food for the rest of my life, because with the Lose It At, 3 years now into doing this, I've probably eaten almost every kind of meal that I'm gonna ever eat. And so it has a history of my meals. So if I go to a burger joint that I haven't gone to before, I can say, well, this is just like a Big Mac that I've had, or this is just like a burger I had at this other place, or a burger I made at home, or whatever. And you can adjust it, and it's right there ready to go. You don't have to start Googling how many calories are in this or that. So put in the effort up front, and then it'll be easy to just keep doing this the rest of your life. Again, the point of my channel is not to give you do this for 6 months and change your body and look good for the summer. This is how to live your life and be in great shape and it not be really a burden to you. It's fun to do. Eventually it'll be easy to do. A lot of this may not make sense right now until you do it, or maybe foreign topics to you. It was when I started, which is why I make these videos. It's like, man, if I wish I knew this stuff in my 20s, because I could have been in great shape in my 20s. And like most of us kind of are, but I kind of wasted those peak years working out in a not ideal way. And I didn't start tracking my food until a couple of years ago. And that was really the big game changer for me. All right, so let's talk about macros. And honestly, I just track protein. So I'll just keep it simple. Try and eat 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight every day. If you're a 200-pound male, eat 200 grams of protein each day. It sounds like a lot. It is a lot. I do supplement it with protein shakes, which you may want to do. I'll talk about that maybe at the end. But it's a target goal. I would never go less than 0.8, because I really care about muscle. That's what you're really working for, and it's so hard, especially after a couple of years, to just keep every bit of muscle that you have. And so the 0.8 grams per pound is the bare minimum. I just want to keep it simple and say eat 1 gram. More than that, you can go up to 1.2, 1.5. Any more than that is probably overkill, and your body's not going to use it. But keep it simple: 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight each day. Protein has a certain amount of calories per gram, so you're going to be probably over 1,000 calories on just your protein, and so the rest of that is just going to be carbs and fat. And I like to eat more carbs than fat. I think my fat intake is about a quarter of my body weight, so a quarter gram per pound of body. That's kind of my guidelines, but I only track, I base my food on my food intake for the day on calories and protein, and that's all I do. Okay, so now we're gonna talk about the most important way to work out, most important factor in working out, right? That's progressive overload. In fact, I think I even have a shirt for it. So progressive overload, what is this? It's, what it sounds like. You're progressively adding load to all your workouts. And I mean, the example is the guy carrying the goat, right? A kid gets a baby goat, on a farm, and every day he's lifting that goat, carrying that goat around. And then as he grows and the goat's growing, he's lifting that goat, and the goat's getting heavier, and he keeps lifting it. So eventually the goat's full grown, and he's able to still lift it because he's been slowly lifting it as it grew. And that means his muscles had to get stronger to keep lifting the goat. So that's kind of the famous example they give. And the way that applies to weight training is pretty simple. So let me just give you an example for the amount of reps to be doing. And you can vary the reps. The most important part is going to be the progressive overload. So let me just start with an example, and the reps that I like using, especially for beginners. When you get advanced, there's actually some value in periodically changing how many reps you do each week, but let's just save that for a different video. So I would say 4 to 6 reps is where I like working out and where I see the most progress. That gives you it's a very good target zone for building muscle, okay? Too high of a rep range, you're gonna fatigue other parts of your cells before your muscles get strained, right? So you really wanna focus on the 4 to 6. It's gonna be a heavy load, and you gotta get comfortable doing that, lifting that. Don't be scared of it. You do 4 to 6 reps, but between each set, you need to rest 3 minutes. Just make it 3 minutes even. I have a little timer that I put on that's like an interval timer, where I know it takes me a minute to do my bench press exercise, get in the bench and everything. And then by the time I'm doing my last set, the timer goes off and it starts a 3-minute counter. And then, I wait, and then when it beeps, I'm doing my next set. Now, I have a home gym that I built, so that's very easy for me to do. I understand in the gym, a public gym, it's harder to do. You can't sit on a machine or a bench for 3 minutes. People are waiting. So be courteous, let people work in, let them know, hey, I'm resting for 3 minutes, you can work in. And but it's important to rest those 3 minutes. If you're stuck on because of time, you can rest shorter, but make sure it's consistent every single week. Okay, if you rest 3 minutes 1 week and you do your exercises, and then the next week you're in a rush and you're only resting 1 minute, you're not gonna be able to do the same reps you did last time, and then you're not gonna be progressing, okay? If you're always stuck for time and you can only rest 1 minute, then rest 1 minute every single time. So it's most important to be, consistent, but you really wanna rest, and you wanna you wanna overload your muscles. And so you don't want them to be fatigued for other reasons, like cardio. If you only rest 1 minute, could be cardio or lactic acid or something. You want to be pushing yourself because your muscles are doing the work, okay? So you want to rest them for 3 minutes. So you do 4 to 6 reps, rest for 3 minutes, and you do 4 to 6 reps. Now, where progressive overload comes in is that each week you should be progressing on your reps. So let's just take the bench press, for example. Let's say you're benching 225, and your first week you do a set of 4, a set of 4, a set of 4. Okay. Next week you get into the gym. What's nice about this is you know what you did the week before. You have it tracked. So I'll talk about that. You should have it like a spreadsheet or anything you can to track it. You look back at the week before, and let's assume you're at least maintaining or bulking. And in your earlier phases, the newbie gains, where you're a newbie at working out, you're probably going to be able to progress, even if you're cutting and losing weight at the same time. Some of it's just because your form's going to get better, your body's going to get used to it, but it's just your muscles haven't had to work and they're going to be super responsive, okay? But let's just assume you're bulking or at least maintaining, right? And you just started. You're going to do 4 reps, 4 reps, 4 reps. You go to the gym the next week. It's not, how do I feel? I'm going to try 210 today. I don't feel that great, whatever. Now, I'm not talking about like if you have an injury. That's separate, right? But it's like you feel like you don't have as much energy as you did the week before. You need to look at that and say, if I don't get 4, 4, 4, I'm not making progress. Right? You're gonna lose muscle if you do less weight or less reps, right? So you need to look at your sheet and say, I did 4, 4, 4, and use that as motivation. All right, after I at least get 4, 4, 4 to stay on track. But if it's still within the first couple months of doing this program, you should easily be able to get like a minimum 5, 4, 4. I would bet you if you did 4, 4, 4. Your second week, you're gonna get like 5, 5, 5 maybe, right? You're gonna get a couple more reps each time. So let's use that as an example. Let's say you get 5, 5, 5. All right, next week I come in, bench press, same weight, 225. Okay, now I got 6 on my first set, okay? Okay, you hit 6, that's the top of the rep range. You normally do 4 to 6 reps. As soon as you hit that 6 rep, you put 5 pounds on each side of the bar. So you put 10 pounds total on. So now you're benching 235. So your next set is gonna be 235 that day. You already did 1 set of 225 at 6 reps. Now you're gonna do 235, and you're most likely gonna get 4. If you get 3, that's close enough. If you got 2, I would go back and drop the weights and wait until you get another set of 6. If you can get 2 sets of 6 at 225, then you can go up to 235. But most likely, if you hit 6, you'll be able to put on, 5 pounds on each side of the bar, 10 total, and you're gonna get 4, and then maybe 4 again. So now the next week, you're starting at 235, and now maybe you're getting, 5, 4, 4, then 5, 5, 4, and then 5, 5, 5. Then you might get a 5, 6. You go, I hit 6 on my second set. Maybe your first one warmed you up a little bit, and now you're going up 5 more pounds on each side. Now you're benching 245, okay? And you just keep doing that. And if one day you get, let's say, you get like 5, 5, 6 on your third set, then the next week you're coming in the gym, your weights are going up. So if you get 6 reps on your very last set of the day for that exercise, let's say we're benching 245 now and you hit 6. All right, when you come into the gym the next week, it's 255. Make sure you mark it down for the next week that you're gonna be doing 255. So now you're doing 255 that next week. And that's called progressive overload. That's actually called double progression. You progress on the amount of reps you're doing, and then at some point you hit the high end of your rep range and you progress on the amount of weight. And then your reps will drop, and then you build up your reps, and then you build up your weight. And that's the most fundamental thing you can do for weight training. I don't care what exercises you're doing. I don't care what rep ranges you're doing. I mentioned which ones are ideal. But if you're following that principle, that's what's going to build muscle. Making progress, okay? That's the most important principle, I think, for weight training, in my opinion, is doing the progressive overload. That's what builds muscle. And so you need to track it. I could tell you exactly how much weight and how many reps I bench pressed 3 years ago to the day, because I have a spreadsheet that tells me it. And so I can see my progress. So that's the motivating part of it. It doesn't matter how you feel, it's like, well, shoot, I did 3 sets of 4, I gotta at least do that. And I can't tell you how many times I came in and that was the motivation was, hey, if I get 5 reps on one of these sets, I built muscle. That's it, right? So, and then you get excited about adding weight to the bar. Oh, if I can get 6 on this one, I can put weight on the bar. And then that's how you progress, okay? Now, with that in mind, you don't want to be doing these sets to muscle failure, okay? So you don't want to be benching to the point where the bar comes back down on you and you need a spotter or you need to dip, duck out of it. You want to stop when you can do at least one more rep. At first, you might need to be 2 reps until you know what your limits are. And so again, like the diet, you might need to calibrate, and you need to maybe have a spotter at first. And I'll talk about why spotters are actually bad. But you might want somebody there to say, okay, I'm gonna try and do what I think is one more, And then if you can't quite get it, you know, and the spotter has to help you in the last one, now you know what it feels like to have 1 rep left. Okay, you should have stopped before that rep where the spotter helped you. Okay, going to muscle failure doesn't help build any muscle. It fatigues you more, it's harder to recover from, it's gonna slow down your progress, it's dangerous, you might get hurt. There's not enough benefit to do that, okay? And you can do that every once in a while if you wanna test your strength, do a 1 rep max, something like that. You know, maybe once every 4 to 6 months you could try that. But in your everyday workouts, you should be stopping with, you know, 1 rep. Let's just say you have 1 extra rep you could do. And so don't cheat yourself where, you know, one day you stopped one day at 5 because you think you could do 1 more rep, and then you go, but I really want 6, and so you're trying to force yourself and your form gets really bad, and you might, you know, be injuring yourself because you're forcing that 6th rep when you really don't have any more in reserve. So make sure, you know, just to keep 1 in reserve. So as far as progress goes, if you're not progressing, so if you're doing your bench, the same example as before, you're benching 225, you get 444, and then maybe get 544, and then the next week you come in, you get like 443, right? And you're struggling just to get your 4s, and hopefully not, but you have to move weight down or something like that. But if you're not progressing, then there's a couple of things that could be going wrong. One, you're not in a calorie surplus, okay? If you're cutting, you should not expect to make progress, right? The best you should be doing is maintaining. Now, if you're, you know, 20 to 30% body fat and you just started after watching this video, and you just started working out, it's your first time doing weights, you have a lot of body fat to lose, you can cut and you'll make progress for weeks, okay? So it's really, if you've been doing this for a little bit and then you stop progressing, then that's where it could be you're not eating enough calories, okay? So for the most part, if you're not progressing, it's because you're not eating enough calories or enough protein. You might be eating a lot of calories, but not enough protein, and the protein is what's gonna rebuild your muscle after the workout. During the workout, you're putting micro tears into your muscles, and your body's like, oh, I don't want that to happen. First, I gotta repair it with protein, and I wanna make sure it's repaired so that it doesn't happen again, which is why you can lift more weights the next time, right? That's, you know, a real dumbed down version of what's happening. So if you're not eating enough protein, even if you're in a calorie surplus, you may not see progress. So as far as muscle building goes, you might be gaining weight, and fat can also add leverage and make you a little bit stronger in some ways. But that's gonna be one of the key problems, is when people say I'm not gaining weight or I'm not progressing. It's just you're not eating enough calories and or protein. The next thing is you may not be sleeping enough. That's one of the most underrated aspects of life, is sleeping. And especially when you get older, it's like the most anabolic thing you can do is sleep. That's when your body's actually burning fat cells and building muscle, okay? It's repairing your muscles that we just talked about that you're damaging when you work out. If you're not sleeping enough, your body is not repairing your muscles, and you're not gonna be progressing. So I know that might be the hardest part for some of you as far as this program goes, or the fitness goes. You gotta prioritize it. Like, do you want to make progress? Do you want to be healthy? Do you want to build muscle? If you really want to, you'll find time to do this. Again, I work 60 hours a week. I have a 2-hour round trip commute sometimes. Single dad, but I want to be in shape. And so I find the time to do that. And I still have time to go out and do, I golf almost every weekend too. And, I go out with my friends. So I go to football games a lot. I have season tickets. I go to football games. I'm not just living in the gym, okay? It's just a small part of my life, but you get the formulas right, and it's a very powerful part of your life with minimal effort. So if you're really serious about it, you'll make sure you get enough sleep. And so that's what I do. There'll be periods in your life, if you have a baby or whatever, that you're not going to get enough sleep. You're cramming for a test or for some review at work or something like that. Yeah, you might need to know that during that time, you're just going to be maintaining. And maybe you only work out 3 days a week instead of 5 days a week because you're not sleeping as much. So that is one instance where if you don't have enough sleep, you may not progress, and it may be dangerous to try and push through that if you're tired and your body hasn't actually repaired the muscle and you're trying to progress that way. So eating and sleeping, and it could be also stress. Like mental stress actually affects your performance in the gym. I'm sure some of you may be in a bad mood, even something stupid like your car's in the shop and you feel like, oh man, it's like, it's a bummer when that happens and you're just distracted and you might not make progress. So in a case like that, it's like, okay, you just take your lumps and move on. But if it's a recurring thing, like your work is just every day you're depressed about work or you're stressed about work, it could affect your ability to build muscle, get in shape. So you might need to make changes in your life, find something that reduces that stress. And working out can relieve that stress, but also the stress can prevent you from having a good, efficient workout. And the thing about my channel and the research I've done is it's not glamorous and gimmicky, right? I'm basically doing the same thing over and over and over again, okay? And that doesn't sell fitness magazines, right? And that how do you make a bunch of videos on when you're doing the same thing over and over again, which is why I don't think I'll even be able to make a lot of videos, right? And so you're doing the same thing over and over and over again, but you're progressing, right? And it might sound boring on the surface, but gains are never boring and progress is never boring, and you're excited to go in. Like I'm always excited to go in and be like, let's see if I can get that 5th rep today, right? I'm motivated and you're making progress. It's not like, am I just going through the motions, just doing anything? It's like, oh, look, I can look back and see I've made progress. I was benching 225 3 months ago. I didn't even notice it, but now I'm benching 245, like just because I've slowly progressed, right? And 5 years later, you're benching 300 pounds or whatever, right? So it's progress that you can track, which makes it exciting, even though I'm basically doing the same workout routines for a while. And I'll talk about when you can switch it up. But it's important to know that switching up your routines is not good, okay? As we talked about, it's you gotta slowly overload and progress. So if I'm doing incline bench one day and then decline barbell bench and then push-ups the next week and then chest machine the next week, and then you're changing it so much that you can't even track your progress on it, because the last time I did that exact exercise was like over a month ago and I'm doing it in a different rep range now. So it's actually important to keep your routines consistent and kind of boring, right? You do the same exact thing for 2 to 4 months. You should be doing the same workout every week, okay? And then when you do switch it up, it's just switching up variety. Like maybe you're adding incline bench, an extra set of exercises for incline bench or flat bench or dumbbell bench. You're like just switching up the variety to maybe target a different part of that muscle. So it's important that you stick to the same exercises for a period of time so that you can track and progress. Okay, I promise your body is going to progress as long as you're increasing your reps and your weight. Okay, I know sometimes you might hear you want to shock the body, and that's effective for certain specific things, but for methodically building muscle, you don't really want to shock the body. You want to do the same thing, the same exercise over and over, but with more reps and more weight. And that's what makes your body build muscle, okay? First you need to add a stress to your body, okay? It's a slightly more than what you've done before. So I did 225 for 444. The next week, first your body says, okay, this is how much weight you're lifting and this rep range. I need to send my protein to rebuild that muscle to be able to at least do that amount again, because that's what our body's being stressed to do. That's what your body's adapt. They're amazing at adapting. Okay, they adapted to that, so now you can get 5. Okay, you do 5 reps. Your body's like, okay, let me rebuild this muscle. Looks like we're doing 5 now. I gotta get stronger to do 5. And now you get 6, and then you go up in weight. And so you're stressing your body's adapting, you're recovering, and then you stress it a little bit more the next time. And that's how you slowly build muscle. And you can go until your skeleton basically can't take any more muscle, right? And there's a genetic limit, okay? So, but for the most part, you can progress, and it'll get slower and slower. You know, after 6 months, you're going to see it slow down. After 2 years, you may have to, you know, change up your rep ranges and stuff like that. But even over the 2-year span, if you're just doing what I'm talking about, I mean, that's pretty much my before and after picture, is just doing what I'm talking about right now. So make sure you're doing the same exercises, and I promise you it's exciting when you do your workouts. I haven't been bored with it yet, and don't be fooled because it's not a fad exercise. It's not glamorous. It's not, oh, this is how you get big arms, or this is how, you know, you get a bigger chest. It's like, it's the same fundamentals for every muscle group, just double progression. That's really all you have to worry about. Okay, let's talk about spotters again real quick. I actually don't recommend them. I mean, for sure, if you're worried about safety, like you don't have safety arms on your bench. Like I have safety arms on my bench, that if I was to drop the weight, it would hit the arms and I could get out. Or don't clamp the weights. So leave clamps off. If you can't lift the weight, you can tilt to the side and the weights will slide off the bar. That's the best way to work out as far as bench goes with no spotter. I mean, you don't need one for deadlifting. We'll get into some of the exercises. Really squatting, you can get out of the way, but I also have these for squats. I have safety arms. But the reason I actually don't like spotters is that what a lot of people will do is, you know, if you have a bad spotter, even a set that you could finish, like a rep you could finish, they see you struggling, they're gonna like lift it for you. And then they're gonna be like, one more. And then you're gonna go down and probably can barely start it, and they're gonna kind of lift it for you. And we talk about double progression, and you're trying to say, I got 1 extra rep. Well, what if he spots you on 2 reps? And last week he spot you on 2 reps, but he had to spot you less on those 2 reps. Like, you can't really determine how many full reps you got and how much the spotter is helping you. And so it's really gonna hurt your progression. So I would like to have clean reps. And like I said, you should be stopping when you still have an extra rep to go. So it shouldn't be a safety issue. Your first couple weeks, you might want a spotter standing by, like I said, in case you're underestimating what you could do or something, or overestimating what you could do. So it might be okay at first, and I would have a spotter just standing by, not actively touching the bar. They should only touch the bar if it's coming back down towards your chest as you're trying to lift it up, if it reverses direction on you. And so you need to make sure you have a right spotter. I bench a lot of weight without spotters. It might be scary at first, but even getting it off the rack is not a problem with the heavy weight. But that was the only way I would recommend it, is if you want someone to help you get it off the rack, let go, stand back. You shouldn't be able to see them at all. And then you do your set, and they might help you rack it. But you know, the benefit of the spotter is you might have more confidence to try to get closer to your, you know, having 1 rep left. You might say, you know what, I think I can push this one, and still have 1 left. And you might get more aggressive with it, but to me it's not worth it, because I think you're just gonna be too inconsistent with spotters helping you on certain reps. So once you get into it, learn to do your exercises, preferably without a spotter. No problem if you want someone there in case you know you have an injury or something, and when the weight's falling on you, right? But again, they should be out of the way and only touching the bar in a bad situation where the weight's coming back down on you. So that's my take on spotters. I didn't really talk about the warm-up too much. Again, there's a lot of details in these books. I'm trying to give you the brief tutorial, which still has a lot of info. But you know, warm-ups, just, you know, basically take half the weight you're gonna do, do, you know, set of 8, 2 sets of 8 maybe. So higher reps than you're gonna do with like half the weight, and then you can get closer to like 75% of the weight you're about to lift. And just do whatever the set's gonna be. Like when I do sets of 4 to 6, I'll take like 70 or 75% of the weight I'm gonna lift. So let's say you're gonna lift 100 pounds, take 75 pounds, do 4 reps. It's gonna be easy. Just do your 4 reps, stop, and then that's where I take my full 3-minute rest. My warm-up sets, I might take only a minute or 2 rest, but that last set where I'm at 75% of my weight, I'll do it. I'll then wait 3 minutes, and then I'll do my first, it's called a working set or a hard set. My first set of 4 to 6. You don't count the warm-up sets. So I'm really doing 3 sets before I even start my first working set. But that's usually in my first workout. So if I'm doing chest, I'll do that. And then if I'm transitioning from a barbell bench to a dumbbell bench, I might do one heavy warm-up set just to get the motion. The motion's a little different, so just to get the motion right, but I don't need to do a full 3 sets of warm-up because my chest is already warmed up. So it's really warming up the muscle, and I like getting one warm-up set just to get my form down for whatever exercise I'm about to do. So that's kind of how you can warm up, but again, they don't count towards your sets or your progression or anything like that. You count just to, I do 3 sets. We'll get into a little bit of programming here, but I do 3 sets of 4 to 6. After my warm-up. Okay, so as far as how many sets to do, there's a balance between doing too much and your body can't recover from, or under-stimulating your muscle and not doing enough sets. Now, again, my videos are for everyday people. If you're a 20-year-old trying to be a bodybuilder and you're doing 2 workouts a day and you're eating 6,000 calories and taking naps in the middle of the day so you can work out morning and night, that's different, okay? This is just Joe Schmo who works out, not to offend any Joe Schmoes out there, but you're just going to work and you're doing your workout either before work or after work, right? And you're likely to do a 3 to 5 day routine, right? Something like that. In those cases, 12 to 18 sets is kind of the happy range. So, like I said, I mentioned doing 3 sets of 4 to 6 on chest, right? So that's 3 sets. And you'll see, some of the programming later in the video, but I did 3 sets of flat bench, 3 sets of incline. I'm at 6 now. And it also counts peripheral workout, sort of. So if I do a dip, if I'm doing dips, that does work like your lower chest. So I might count 1 or 2 sets of my dips towards my chest workout. But for now, keeping it simple, 3 bench, let's just say it was 3 incline. And then let's say it was 3 dumbbell presses and 3 close grip benches, which also works triceps, right? So I just mentioned 4 chest exercises that are doing 3 sets each. That's 12 sets. So that week I worked out my chest in 12 sets, and not all in 1 days of workout. That's a lot, right? My chest day is like I do 2 days a week of chest. So I'm basically doing 6 sets one day and 6 sets another day. And so I would go up as high as 9 sets in 1 day for 1 body part, and then 9 sets another day would be 18. That would be a lot of volume, we call it, for that muscle. So shoot, when you're setting up your program, try to target each muscle and get 12 sets a week. Again, they won't all be in the same workout. You shouldn't really approach 12 sets of one muscle. I'm not gonna talk about 1 day a week workout, full body program and stuff like that. I'll probably talk about a 3-day option or a 5-day option for your workouts. So in the 3-day, you're gonna get higher, closer to that 12 in one day. And again, you just need to kind of learn a lot of your tricep. Like I said, close grip you can count as tricep and chest. So those 3 sets are really counting 3 for chest and 3 for triceps. And that's why I'm going to get into barbell training. When you do deadlifts, it hits a lot of muscle groups, so it's real efficient. You can count 3 sets for a lot of different muscles when you do deadlifts, as opposed to just doing like a back row, right? Where you'll get biceps and back. So target 12 to 18 sets per muscle per week. All right, so let's talk about the exercises that I like to do, which I think are most effective, based on the research I've done and practice. And that's, barbell training. So we already talked about doing 4 to 6 reps. So it's heavy barbell training, right? That's pretty much what I've been doing for a couple years now. And It includes dumbbells, so basically any free weights. But the barbell is sort of the best tool. You can do lots of different motions with it, and like I said before, talking about the deadlift, it targets a lot of different muscle groups at once by doing full body exercises. So the best barbell exercises, there's kind of four main ones, which is what my programming follows. Basically each day I'm doing one of those, and then I supplement my workouts around whatever muscle group I'm working on. So it's the barbell bench press, the barbell deadlift, the barbell overhead press, like a standing military press, you can think of it, and the back squat, usually a low bar squat position. So those are the main exercises. Now, when I found that out, and through trying to work out at smaller gyms, I realized that the little easy curl bar was the only barbell I had, and it quickly ran out of room to do deadlifts on, and it's a little bit weird to use. And the Smith machine can sort of be dangerous because the nice thing about the free weights and the barbell is you can control the bar path to be efficient and safe. And on the Smith machine, it's locked in on these rails, and sometimes they're at a little bit of an angle. And if you're trying to deadlift in one way and the bar is trying to go against you, it can be very dangerous for your back. Same with the bench. You actually want the barbell to go a certain direction. So how you put your bench inside the Smith machine can affect your exercise. And if that's all you have, then that's okay. But what I was gonna get at was, as you can see behind me, I decided I just got to go all in and just buy my own barbell, my own rack. And it may look like I'm sponsored by Rogue. I am not. That's just, I just spent some money on their website to get what I wanted. Luckily, before COVID, before these were thousands of dollars per plate. So I would recommend investing in barbell if you have space for it. You can get cheap racks for a couple $100 and slowly build up. You can start with just doing deadlifts. You don't need a rack or anything for deadlifts. Squats, you could start with just snatching and doing a front squat. And so you could do a decent amount with just buying a barbell. I'll probably make a separate video on making your own home gym, but I also don't want you to worry if you don't have access to barbells, okay, or even free weights. I mean, I think everyone who goes to a gym can at least do dumbbells, and that's better than machines in some cases, right? I want you to focus on the fundamentals of the flexible dieting we talked about and the progressive overload, okay? So if you have to do all of that in a gym, in a hotel gym, that just has a couple pulley systems, a couple machines, you should be doing that, okay? I recommend the barbell, but I want everyone to be able to progress, and I don't want you to watch this video, get your hopes up that, I'm learning what to do, but I don't have a barbell, I don't have a home gym. You don't need one, okay? You might get there more efficiently or quicker. There may be some limitations you have, but there's also limitations I don't have, by just having the barbells, right? There are some good machines I could use, specifically for legs, right? Where I could make a little bit more progress, but whatever equipment you have, as long as it's not just bands, like that's the thing, body weight and bands, you can't do the progressive overload, right? I mean, you could progress on bands a little bit, but you're gonna be doing higher reps and you're very limited. But for the most part, if you're just going to the gym like most people do, like before or after work, just a public gym, they likely will have some free weights and barbells and racks and stuff like that. But I would encourage you to get comfortable using the barbell. Mark Ripato's Starting Strength, which I have right here, is a great book to learn how to do the exercises, like very technical. And but if you just want to go in, do the machines, then it's fine, do the machines. But you have to do the double progression. So you need a program. The programming stuff I'm going to show you, I'll kind of make it generic, where it doesn't necessarily mean a barbell, right? It'll just say chest exercise. If it's the machine that does the chest for you, okay, that's good enough, okay? But you still have to progress. If it's the machines where you stack plates on it, you gotta write down your weights, right? And you have to progress. You have to be putting 5 pounds on each side. You know, every couple of weeks you should be progressing in weight, and definitely reps each time when you first start out. So if you have to use just regular gym machines, you know, it's okay. Just make sure you're progressing. Make sure you get your minimum sets that we talked about, 12 to 18 sets. And that might be a little bit harder. You're not doing close grip bench anymore. You're doing like, maybe you're doing a pure fly machine, and now you gotta do a pure tricep machine. And when you do those two machines, you know, your tricep machine is not helping your chest, and your chest machine is not helping your triceps. So you have to almost do more exercises to be able to hit all the muscles and get 12 to 8 sets for each muscle group a week, because you're not doing barbell where you're getting multiple muscle groups at a time. So it's a little bit less efficient, but make sure you're tracking, you know, each of the machines. Some of the plates are different, so you just have to track by numbers. Sometimes they might be 5 pounds or 10 pound increments. Like the lat pull down machine might increment different than the tricep push down machine. Those might be smaller weights. So just track the number. You know, if you're on plate 3 and, you know, you're doing, you know, 5, 5, 5 on plate 3, then you get 6, go up to plate 4. So now you're doing plate 4 and you're doing 4 reps, right? So it might also make it harder to do heavy weights on those machines, right? Like a tricep push down might be hard to do heavy loaded, you know, sets of 4. So in those cases, you might choose to do 6 to 8 instead of 4 to 6, or maybe 8 to 10. So don't sweat it if you can't get your hands on a barbell. Use the equipment you have and just use the double progression method, and you will see progress, okay? All right, as far as more specific programming, you know, I do a 5-day workout, which I think is most effective. If you can afford the time to work out 5 days, you know, it's between an hour and a half of workouts. Again, mostly because of 3-minute resting. Since I have a home gym, I can kind of multitask and could work on email or something while I'm working out. Could, you know, clean around the house, do whatever. So if you're, you know, in a regular gym, it might take a little bit longer, especially if you're waiting for machines and stuff like that. So it depends on the time commitment and how many days you can do it. So I can give you like a 3-day example and a 5-day example. So the 3-day, which you'll hear often, is a push-pull legs workout, right? I actually call it a pull-push legs. I do in different order because in my pull workout, I'm doing a lot of legs because it's deadlifting. So I like to give the legs a break between the pull and the legs. So the reason it's push-pull legs is you're working opposite antagonist muscle groups, right? And so the best, you know, the two biggest examples is like bis and tris, okay? If I do biceps, that's a pull exercise, right? I'm pulling the weights up from the ground. And when I do triceps, you think of like a pulley push down, I'm pushing, right? So I have a pull exercise, a push exercise. So if one day I'm doing all pull, and so pull would be your biceps and it would be your back, right? Like you're pulling in like a back row, as opposed to a push exercise, like a bench press, where you're laying down, you have to push up. And shoulders, another one where you're pushing. So, and triceps are another one. So if you're doing, what I do is a pull push legs. Well, I do a 5-day, so it's a little bit different. But if you're doing a 3-day, I would do a pull push legs workout, where for pulling, I would do back exercises. For me, it's deadlifting, right? I mentioned all the barbell training. So, but again, I'm trying to keep it generic in case you don't have the barbell. So you would be pulling. So you would do back exercises and 2 to 3 different exercises, right? So maybe you can do a deadlift, but if not, maybe doing a back row and like a 1-arm dumbbell row or something like that. 2 or 3 different exercises. In fact, if you're doing only a 3-day workout, you might want to even do 4, right? If you do 4 sets of back, that's 12 sets, and I talked about trying to get 12 to 18. If you're doing push-pull legs, you're not going to get much back workout on your other days, so you're going to be more isolated to individual muscle groups on your workout days. So depending on what body parts you want to work the most, you know, I would actually recommend for a 3 day, 3 to 4 exercises for your back and 2 to 3 on your biceps that day. If you know you're doing a row machine, you're gonna get biceps when you do your back. Most all the time you're gonna get some biceps when you do your back. So it's good to couple them together. And it might mean if you're doing 4 back exercises, you only gotta do 1 bicep, right? Something like that. So you can mix and match them a little bit depending on what muscle group you want to work more. So that would be my pull day. And you want to mix it up and target as much you different parts of your back as you can. Maybe like a lat pull down and a back row. You could do regular curls, and a hammer curls works different heads of the biceps. So, but pick the exercises, and those are the same exact exercises you're doing for at least a couple months. All right, and make progress in the gym on those exercises. If that machine's taken, if you can wait for that machine. Otherwise, try and do a machine that's equivalent. Okay, so you don't do like if they have a curl machine and they have like a hammer curl machine. If you haven't done the hammer curl in weeks, don't go, I'm just gonna jump to that one, okay? I would try and get the same exact exercises done so you can make sure you're actually progressing. Okay, so that would be one day, would be your pull day. Again, if you can do deadlifts, you're getting your hamstrings and a little bit of quads, you're getting more leg drive out of it. So it also almost counts as part of leg training. So that's why I like the barbell training or dumbbell training. Then you're gonna do a push day. Now the other advantage of the push-pull or pull-push, however you wanna say it, workout is that your back was worked out the day before and you're not gonna really be using your back when you use your chest, right? So the muscles you worked the day before are getting a rest. You're not overworking your muscles. You can work out super hard the next day. Even if your back was sore, it's not gonna matter for your chest or your triceps. If your biceps sore, it's not gonna matter for your triceps. So that's why you do them in that order as well. And obviously when you do legs, you're resting most of your upper body. So while I'm talking about being sore, don't worry if you don't get sore after you start doing these workouts. Your first week of doing anything new, you're gonna be sore, okay? I hardly get sore anymore because I'm making slow progress, right? I'm doing 1 or 2 extra reps a week and my body has adjusted to that. So you may not feel sore, and after your workout, you may not even feel like you got a huge pump, even if you're doing, especially if you're doing 4 to 6 reps, okay? And you're resting the full 3 minutes. You might get done and actually be like, hey, I feel like I could do a lot more. Don't do a lot more. Don't do drop sets. Don't burn out and I'm gonna do sets of 20 to feel a pump. Don't do that. It's garbage sets. It's gonna, make your body have a harder time recovering. Do what's laid out, in the programming, the 4 to 6 reps. You won't get that sore. But you're making progress because you're logging it and you're seeing the reps go up or the weights go up. Some people think, I only know if I was worked out because I got sore. If you got sore, that means your body was not adapted to do that workout. And that's not what we want. We want your body to be adapted, and the way it adapts is to build muscle, right? So if you're getting sore all the time, your body doesn't know what's going on and doesn't know how to adjust to react to this and adapt, right, for your next workout. So don't worry if you're not getting sore after a couple weeks of doing this program. And if you are sore, it's also okay to work through that. It's usually not a sign you're gonna have an injury unless you're like crazy sore, like you overdid something. But a little bit of soreness, once you warm up, you probably won't even feel it. Especially if you're, like I said, your biceps sore, don't worry, you can do all the triceps you want. Your biceps still recovering. So you're gonna do pull and then you're gonna do push. So then your push exercise are gonna be mainly chest, shoulders, and triceps. Now when you do your chest, you're gonna get a lot of tricep work in. So you don't need to do a ton of special, just tricep exercises. So I recommend 2 to 3 sets of your chest, and probably 2 to 3 sets of shoulders, and then maybe 1 or 2 of your triceps. And if you're doing like an incline bench, you're getting a lot more shoulder and chest combined. Shoulders get a lot of workout, and a lot when you're doing biceps. When you're doing triceps, you're doing chest, you're getting a little bit of shoulder and like almost all of that. And back, and when you do your back, you get shoulders too. So you could, depending on what you want to work on. If you want to work on your shoulders, then do more shoulders. If you want to work on your chest, do more chest. Whatever you put more volume in, that's what you're going to see more growth in. So when I said 12 to 18 sets, if you like where you're at with your shoulders and triceps, just stick to the 12 sets and then do 18 sets for your chest. Now on a 3-day workout, that's going to be grueling and hard, and I wouldn't recommend that. I would probably tap out at 15 sets if you're just doing it all in one day, 12 or 15, depending on your age and how much you're eating and sleeping and all that. So that's why the 3-day can be kind of tough and challenging to make a ton of progress on, as opposed to the 5-day. So that's going to be your push, and then you're going to do legs. That one is trying to get 2 or 3 quad exercises, 2 or 3 hamstring exercises, and a calf exercise in there. And squats are great if you can do squats, because you're getting quads and you're getting hamstrings, especially if you do the low bar squat. And so if you do squats, it's less other individual workouts you have to do on your legs, like a leg extension or leg curl. So one example could be squats and then a leg extension and then a leg curl and then calves, or you're doing lunges or something like that. So legs is the 3rd day, and so you can do this 3-day in 3 days straight, and then have 4 days off, and then do 3 days straight and 4 days off, if that works for you. Let's say you can do a Friday, Saturday, Sunday workout, and then during the work week you can't. That'd be a good way to do it. Or you could do like a Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You could basically separate those 3 days any way you want, and just do them in that order. So, do your pull day. Whenever you get your next day to work out, do push. Whenever it's your next day to work out, do legs. Whenever it's your next day to work out, do pull, right? And all that. So if you do the pull, if you do legs and somehow you start right again, I would recommend, if you do 3 days in a row, to at least take a day off. Otherwise, you should just be doing like a 4-day or 5-day routine. So usually the 3-day is because you can only work out 3 days within 7 days. If you're able to work out more than 3 days within a 7-day span, then I would recommend a 4 or 5-day workout instead of starting the next cycle again, because you could spread out your workouts more and get more sets in more efficiently. Okay, and then just a couple comments on like abs and calves and even forearms. They're such small muscle groups that you can work them out multiple times a week if you want. So like calves, you could throw into other workouts. If you really want to work on your calves, do it on your pull day and on your leg day. They really don't need a lot of time to recover. You could basically do abs every day. However, also know that you don't need to do any abs if you're just trying to get like a 6-pack for aesthetics. That's just body fat, okay? That's important to note. Like, yeah, you can build strength in your core and your abs, and they'll stick through a little bit sooner if you have more muscle there. But the strongmen, right, contest, the strongest men in the world probably have the strongest abs out of everyone, and you can't see them because they got body fat. If you just put them on a diet, you would see shredded abs, okay? So you can't just make abs show up through fat by doing a lot of ab exercises, okay? If you're doing free weights, you're gonna have abs and a 6-pack as soon as you cut down to under 15% body fat. When you're at 12, you probably can see a 6-pack, and for sure at 10%, you can see a 6-pack. So if you're doing abs just for the aesthetics, I wouldn't waste time on that. I would focus on the food and cutting down. If you're doing abs because your core is weak, because you just started out, and you want to do deadlifting and your back's rounding because your core is not strong enough, for sure, that's the advantage. That's a benefit to doing core work and ab work. It will, if you do it up front when you first start working out, it will actually help you progress a little bit faster. Overhead press, right? When it's a lot of core. Deadlifting, a lot of core. Squat is a lot of core. Now that stuff's gonna build your core, so over years you're gonna have a strong core and you don't have to do anything special about it. But if you want to if you think that's holding you back, do abs, do core work. I like doing heavy weighted stuff, right? Instead of trying to do 60 sit-ups or something, I like doing the machines that would have the weights where you can do the abs, or just put a free weight on your chest and do sit-ups. So I only get 10 to 15 reps or something like that. Leg raises with weights on them. So I actually still like to keep my ab workout. I want to build strength. I don't want to just go high rep with it. So, but just know that abs is mostly diet. If you're doing any kind of smart workouts, any kind of free weight workout for sure, you have abs, okay? And it's just, do you want to diet down so you can see them, or do you rather just be stronger and have a little bit more of body fat, right? So, okay, now the 5-day workout routine. This is what I like the best. So, in this case, you can split up your exercises a little bit more. You can do less volume per muscle group each day, so that your total is still, the 12 to 18 range. Or you can still, depending on how much sleep and food you're eating, it gives you a chance to actually get more sets in by just doubling up on some exercises each week. So for that, I do 2 to 3 chest exercises on the first day. It's still broken up like a push-pull legs, and it's kind of like a push, pull, push, legs, push. So on day 1, and again, this works pretty good as a Monday through Friday workout, and then party time on the weekend. But you could do it however you want within a 7-day period. Although the way I have it done is day 5 and day 1 are very similar days. So you wouldn't want to do a Monday through Thursday, take Friday, Saturday off, get your Sunday workout in, and start again Monday, because the Sunday to Monday workouts are almost the same. So you want to space out the end of the workout and the beginning of the workout. But you can also rearrange these however you need. That's the nice thing about knowing what you're doing and why you're doing it, right? So you can decide how to do it, so you kind of have like a push and a pull on sequential days, okay? Obviously with a 5-day, it's kind of hard to do that. You can play around with where your leg day is. So you can put your leg day at the end, and that might help. So, but day 1, I do a couple of chest exercises and tricep exercises. And then day 2, it's a pull day, so it's a couple back exercises and a couple bicep exercises. Day 3 is another push day, so it's shoulders and a couple of shoulders, a couple of triceps. Thursday's leg day. It's very similar to the 3-day leg day. If it doesn't have a lot of legs in there, if you want to do a 6-day, you could do another leg day at the end. Again, it's what muscle groups you want to work on, and you might change it up every couple months. Maybe for a couple months you do once a week legs, and then for a couple of months you're going to do twice a week legs and do less triceps and less something else, right? Maybe less chest. So so day 4 is the leg day, and then day 5 is another chest and tricep day, similar to day 1. And that's an example of a workout. But again, the routine's not as important. The programming is not as important as the fundamentals that I've talked about with the double progression and eating, right? So eating the right amount of calories and protein, progressing on whatever workouts you're doing and whatever rep range you're doing, and however often you're doing them, double progression, okay? Progressive overload. That's the key. That's the main thing, okay? So make sure you're doing that. Okay, you may have noticed that I didn't mention cardio yet. I'm mostly focused on muscle building, okay? And I don't do a lot of cardio. The cardio that I do is walking. That's it. I'll make sure, especially when I'm cutting, I'll go out and walk for 30 to 40 minutes just to get my calorie burning a little bit higher. When I'm bulking, I usually don't do any cardio. I don't explicitly do it, right? I might do it just in my everyday, whatever I'm doing that day. If I'm playing with my son or something like that. But I don't go out and say I'm gonna run on the treadmill or bike or whatever. So I will say running, if you care about muscle, running is very catabolic. It destroys tissue instead of building it, right? So it's it has other health benefits, but in my opinion, and kind of from what I saw, I mean, just me personally, it's not that important to me to do cardio, I guess is how I'll put it. When I'm doing deadlifts, heavy deadlifts, and the way I'm doing my routine now, I actually do higher reps on some things. It's hard. My heart rate is up. It's in the 130s, 140s. And so like, I'm definitely getting cardio doing the workouts, okay? So I'm not too worried about that. And when I run, you know, especially if you get older, it can be hard on the knees and the joints. And like I said, it actually can get in the way of muscle building. So I think walking's the best kind of cardio if you just want to burn calories. So again, like I mentioned before, you don't burn as many calories as you think with cardio. Running for 30 minutes, depending on the intensity, is maybe 300 calories, right? And I could easily get that by just choosing something different to eat that day, right? And so if you're just doing it because you think I can eat more if I do that, it's not really the right approach. If you're doing it because you like the runner's high, I understand that. I played soccer in college, so I've done a ton of running. I used to be in really good cardio shape. Maybe that's why I'm like against it now, is because I've been through years of that. But so I've seen that side of it, and I've seen the muscle building side of it, and I could never build muscle when I was playing soccer. I just can't. I can't eat enough calories. I just can't do it. So I can see how they interact with each other. So, you know, it's totally up to you if you want to do cardio because it's fun, but I wouldn't do it because you're thinking you get to eat more or anything like that. It's just really not worth it. And if you do want to do something like that, just go walking. I'm sure you listen to podcasts or you're watching YouTube right now. You watch YouTube channels. You can just watch a 15-minute video and go walk instead of sitting down on your couch and doing it, right? And so walking to me is kind of the best cardio. That or biking. I think biking is not as pounding, doesn't put your body through a lot of pounding, and it can actually build some more leg muscles. So biking would be my second. And if you're gonna do it, don't do it before you work out. I mean, you could do it right after you work out, but I would preferably just do it at a different time. So, I mean, if you're working out at night, you can do cardio in the morning. Or if you're working out in the morning, you can do cardio at night. Or do it on your 2 days off. So if you're weightlifting the 5 days or the 3 days, whatever days you're not weightlifting, do your cardio then. If you have to do it all in one window because you're at the gym, do it at the end of your weight training, okay? Because you don't want to impact your weight training. So at the end of the weight training, do whatever cardio you want to do. And you know, that's my take on cardio. Okay, I'm gonna talk about deloading, which you may not have ever heard this term of, and I hadn't before I started doing my research. So deloading is, you know, giving your body a break. And a lot of people, especially when you're younger, you think if I miss any days in the gym, I'm not going to make progress. And while it's true what we talked about before is you have to be making progress like every week. You know, if you miss about 2 or 3 weeks, you know, you're not really going to lose any muscle. If you've been training for a little bit and you stop for, I would say, 2 weeks, you might, because of your form and whatnot, you might take you one day to get back into it, right? But for the most part, 1 to 2 weeks is not going to kill you every once in a while, right? Obviously, if you're doing that every month, you're taking a week off, you're not going to progress like you should. So, deloading is, you know, stepping back a little bit every so often, right? And so, research shows, and my experience and from my research, every 8 to 10 weeks is a good time to do a deload. And you can do this one of 3 ways, really. One way is just to take the whole week off. Just take it off. And trust me, when you start doing the program, you're not going to want to take a week off because you're seeing progress and everything. And that's okay. I didn't really take a week off when I first started, although now I do take weeks off, but or a week off when I need to. But so just take the week off, and it helps your tissues and your body. So sometimes your muscles can grow faster than your tissues and joints and stuff, and you need your body to catch up, right? And so you take a week off, sometimes you come back stronger because your body's just rested. Trust me, it'll feel really good when you come back. And it's also a mental break, right? You have a mental break from the workouts, and sometimes you can just tell you're mentally drained before you do your workouts. And so taking a week off is okay. And usually 8 to 10 weeks, there's always something that comes up, right? You're gonna go on a vacation. It's gonna be Thanksgiving, or it's gonna be Christmas. It's going to be Easter or whatever it is. It's a good time. I plan my deloads around that. So I'll look at advance and say, oh, I have a vacation coming up. And it's 7 weeks from now. I'm going to take my deload at that 7th week, right? Or I see that, oh, it's 11 weeks from now. I'm not going to take my typical 8 or 9 week deload. I'm going to push it to the 11th week, and then I can take that week off. So plan your deloads around your normal life events, okay? Now, if you don't want to take the whole week off, now you got to do something, because even if you feel great, you're not going to know something's wrong till it's too late and you didn't take time off. So the other way to deload, which I'll recommend, is just do half of everything. So half the amount of sets, basically, half the amount of reps, and half the amount of weight. Now, I recommend like 3 sets, so you could probably do 2 sets or 1 set, whatever you feel like doing. It's like for bench, let's say you're doing 225 and you're doing 3 sets of 4. On your deload week, you're gonna do about 112 pounds, and you're gonna do, let's say, 2 sets of 2. It just gets your forearm going, you're lifting a little bit of weight, and it'll help you like maintain the strength you have the next week. But it's also not fully necessary. You want to take the whole week off, take the whole week off. You could also, so that's a volume and intensity deload, and that's what I would recommend if you're going to wait 8 to 10 weeks. There's other deloads which are just volume deloads. So in that case, it'd be the same amount of weight. So you'd still do 225, but you'd only do like 2 sets of 2 instead of 3 sets of 4 to 6. So that's a volume deload, where you just change the amount of sets and reps but keep the weight the same. If you do an intensity deload, that's when you do the same volume but the weights are cut, let's say, in half or something. And what I was recommending is a volume and intensity deload, half the weights, half the reps, half or 2/3 of the sets, and or just take the week off. So you need to just program those deloads in, okay? Now, after the deload week, that's where you can change your workouts, because you've been working out for 2 to 3 months at that point, doing the same exact things. If you're doing the right thing, the same exact thing you've been doing, and now you can change it up a little bit. So whatever 2 or 3 chest exercises you're doing before, you could change those to some different exercises. Now, you probably won't change it completely. For example, if you're doing a machine where you have a press machine, maybe you change it to just a butterfly machine, right? And maybe one of your other chest exercises is still the same. Or maybe you were doing the push machine and a butterfly machine, and for 1 set of exercises, or for a couple months. So now after you deload, you reverse the order. Instead of doing the press first and then the butterfly one next, you do the butterfly first and then you do the chest, or the press one. And so that'll actually, you should be able to do more weights on the one you were normally doing second, and now you're doing it first. You'll be able to do more weights on it. And so that's when you can change it up. If you like exercises, just keep doing the same exact thing. I've done bench press, flat bench press, twice a week, 2 days a week, 3 years. I mean, so I'm never gonna get rid of that. And deadlifting and stuff like that. Deadlifting, you can switch between like a trap bar or a sumo and a regular deadlift, things like that. Dumbbell deadlift if you want, instead of a barbell one. So that's when you take, after your deload week, that's where you can like interject different exercises or flip them around, flip the orders around, whatever you want to do. So same amount of sets for that muscle group, but it might be different exercises. And then you do that for 8 to 10 more weeks, and you're going to be making progression on that, and then you're going to deload, and you're just going to repeat and keep doing this cycle. So that's how you work in deloads, and they're very important. So you should make sure you program them in. All right, the last thing I'll talk about before a summary is supplementation. At some point, I'll probably make a separate video on that. But for right now, just know, first of all, you don't need any supplementation to make progress. For sure, if you're new, you don't need it. If you're not new, you can still make progress if you have been doing it right and now you're following, the formulas I'm laying out. So if you do that and you're making progress, you don't need supplementation. Where it can help, I think there's the most powerful two supplements are whey protein isolate and creatine, okay? And the whey protein is, like I said, basically to help get your 1 gram per pound of body weight, right? So that's how I use it to make sure I'm hitting that target, and I'm not getting too many calories by trying to eat all that protein. And I take it right after a workout. It's a great time to do it. You also want some protein in you before a workout. So within a couple hours before and after a workout, you should be having protein. And so that's probably the best supplement, and creatine. So creatine is the other one, creatine monohydrate. That's basically, you already have that in your muscles, and that's what you're kind of burning when you lift. So when you're doing like heavy sets and stuff like that, when the creatine in your muscles gets depleted, you can't really do any more reps. And so taking the creatine supplementation allows your body to store a little bit more creatine in the muscle than you normally can. And so far studies show, it's been out for like 20 years now at least, and there hasn't been any downsides, but I'll let you do that research and you decide on your own. But again, Mike Mathews, who wrote the Bigger, Leaner, Stronger book that I've been referencing, he also has a supplement company that he started after he started doing all this good content on fitness. So if you go to legionathletics.com, and I'll put a link in the description, you can see what's in his supplements. It's the only supplements that I use, actually. And so I'm not, by the way, you probably think I get paid by Mike or Legion, and no, I'm not trying to make money off this. I'm just trying to get information out. And I've not talked to anybody in any of these companies that are asking me to say any of this stuff. So it's just what I've used, what I found worked, and I'm just giving you guys the information. So that's my spiel on supplementation. And now if we just get to the summary, it's called Engineer Your Body because I'm a NASA engineer, and like I said, I'm using formulas to try and help you follow and simplify all this complicated content that I've talked about. The things you really need to know after all this: 3,500 calories is 1 pound of body weight, okay? If you want to lose weight, you need to burn about 1.2 times the amount of calories that you've eaten, okay? So if you ate a certain amount of calories, multiply that by 1.2 and you better burn that many calories. And that's how you're gonna lose weight quickly and try and maintain some muscle. Especially if you're working out, you'll be able to maintain certainly your strength. And when you come out of it and you're bulking, you'll get it right back. So don't worry about it. And when you're doing that, you're bulking, you're gonna be eating 10% more calories than you burn. So in this case, take your calories burned, multiply it by 1.1, and that's the calories that you should be eating, okay? Your minimum daily protein is 1 gram times your body weight. Okay, so the most important workout formula. 1 set of X reps equals you adding 5 or 10 pounds to the exercise. Now, the X in this case is the higher end of the rep range. So if it's 4 to 6, then X equals 6. If it's 6 to 8, then X equals 8. If it's 8 to 10, X equals 10, okay? So when you hit that upper limit of the range you're working in, that's when you add weight to your exercise. That's progressive overload, that's double progression. All right, between 12 and 18, that's the number of sets you should be doing per muscle group per week. And your sleep should be greater than or equal to 8 hours. It's tough, almost no one does it. I actually try to put my head on the pillow 9 hours before I have to wake up. And I usually get like 7 hours of sleep that way. But you really need to focus on the sleep. So that's my formulas. That's how you can engineer your body to look how you want it to look. Please leave comments on what other content you might want to see. If you have questions, you can put them in the comments, or you can email me. I'll put them in the email in the description. It's engineeryourbody6@gmail.com. If I get 100 subscribers, I think that would be enough that it's worth putting another video out, okay? So please subscribe if you would like more content. I'll go deeper into each of these topics and some things I haven't even talked about yet. So subscribe if you would like me to put out more videos, and please comment on what kind of videos you'd like to see. And maybe I'll talk to you guys again soon. Thanks.